Doing this and the same, I know that the particular way of calculating depreciation in this question is slightly different than we've had before, because they're depreciating a full year whenever we buy it, and the year we get rid of it we charge 0, even though we may have had it for half a year. We're not charging half a year's depreciation. So I start by writing down the names of the accounts that I'll need to go and deal with. Okay, actually I've got disposal, so this is disposal depreciation. Okay, so I start off with the vans. So my vans, that when I go and look at my trial balance up here, I'll see my delivery vans cost 155 and 120 is in the trial balance, so the opening accumulated depreciation is 35 and the asset is 150. When I read the question, it says I got rid of something that originally cost 25, and the new one I got is worth 40, so that's where the new figure 170 comes from. When I'm working out my accumulated depreciation on vans, I'll have to take into account, take out my disposal, and that's where this here comes from. So I've had this thing for 2 years, I've had it for 2 years and a bit, but I'm going to depreciate it only for 2 full years. I'll take away my scrap value, so this is the amount I'm going to be depreciating every year. 2/5 of that is the depreciation I'll be taking out for this year. And that 9.5 is going to go into my disposal account, so that I work out exactly what the thing is worth. So on the day I got rid of it, it was worth 1,500. I got a trade in at 1,400 or 14 grand. So therefore I got 1,500 less than it's worth. So that's where that expense comes from. So if I just quickly, I'm just thinking of the numbers I'm going to put in here. So this here is going to be fixed asset. This here is going to be fixed asset. This here is going to be an expense. This here is going to be an expense. So there's 4 numbers we have so far I'm going to put into the question. Now, so the next is, and this is pretty standard now, so we're back to something that we would have dealt with before. The check for the net amount of the transaction was incorrectly treated as a purchase of stock. It was entered in the bank account, so the bank account we're going to say here is correct. So I'm going to do nothing in my bank account, but it was purchases. I have to take it away from purchases because the purchase is too much. So I'm going to work on my purchases now. So it says up here, purchases is 1045. So 1045, so that's the purchase figure. And that number is wrong because I included in the purchase the check for payment. Now, the new van cost 40. I got a trade in of 14. So how much did I write as a check? 26. So that 26 was included not in vans, but it was in purchases. So I'm taking out of purchases. Okay. So I'm going to subtract from the 1045. I'm going to take away 26 from that. And that will give us the real figure that I'm going to have for my purchases. 1045. So, no, I made a mistake there, I think, with that. Is that right? Yeah, I think it is, yeah. So 101900. Is that? Yeah, no, I think that's right. So that's the number then that I'm going to put over here for purchases. Now remember, I've already taken something away from purchases. So what I'm going to do here is I'm taking away another 26 from the figure for purchases. Is it okay? Let's do the second note. You want me to continue doing the other notes? Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that and just labeling it. So note 3. Now, in the exam, I wouldn't expect you to do any rough work for note 1 and 2 because that should be straightforward and you shouldn't cause you a problem. But this one is complicated, and that's why I really think you need to do rough work for this. And I'm just going to quickly label that as well.
So how long do you have in the notes?
You've got 50 minutes to do this question in the exam.
What for the notes?
Sorry?
Like doing this question, how long would the notes take you?
You do the notes as you go through it. I would say the notes is probably going to take you half an hour. That's where all the hard work is, and that's where all the marks come from.
I felt like when I was doing these questions,
Yeah. The notes is where all the hard work goes in, definitely. And I would expect you to spend more time on it. Okay, back to this. So goods sent to customer on sale or return basis. These goods enter in the books as credit sale with a markup on cost. So sale or return means Jack's a customer. When I'm sending him out a load of goods, I'm sending him some new stuff that he hasn't asked for. But I'm thinking when he sees it, he might say, yeah, I'd like to buy that. But he hasn't ordered it. But me, so therefore, if he hasn't ordered it, Jack doesn't owe for those goods. I haven't sold the goods to Jack. And those goods are technically part of my closing stock. But I've actually treated it as if I did sell it. So that's where my mistake is. So what I need to change here, so this is note 4. So I'll need to change my debtors. I need to change my sales. And I'll need to include those goods now in my closing stock. So I'll go to my question, and I'm looking for my debtors figure. So debtors is 98.2. My sales figure, which I haven't told you before, is 159 and 0, and an X is 0. Okay. And my closing stock figure. I've already been messing with my closing stock, so I'm going to take the latest version of the closing stock is 73.9. So I'm going to use that. 73,900. Okay. Now the goods entered in the books, the credit sale 7.5. So that means I'm going to take away 7.5. So my real debtors figure is those two. Okay. My sales, I'm going to take 7.5 away from sales. And my closing stock then, now the closing stock is not what the goods were sold for, it's what the goods originally were worth, what they originally cost. Okay. So that means that 7.5 is a markup on cost of 20%. So that means the cost is 100%, so 7.5 is 120%. Okay? So the number that goes there is going to be 7.5 divided by 1.2. Okay? And that's going to be my new closing stock figure. Okay? So I'm going to put the closing stock in here. And the same number ends up going in there. My debtors figure is going to be whatever I've worked out there, and I've now got my sales figure. And I think pretty much as Nathan was just saying, you spend a lot of time doing the rough work and just put the numbers into the answer. Just keep putting as many numbers as you can into the answer. Patents written off over a 5-year period commencing in 2018. Okay, so I will need to do rough work for this because it's a bit tricky. So, so I'm looking at patents up here. So I'm going to have patents, and then I'm going to take away a write-off, and that's going to give me my new patents. Now, it says here patents including 5 months investment income. So I need to take out that investment income to end up only with the patents. So this number here, I'm just going to put a question mark because I don't know what it is. So what I need to do is take out my investment income. So what I'll do is I'll look at an annual so work out what my annual figure is. Take away the amount that I had for, it says 5 months. And that's going to give me investment income due, which is going to be a current asset. So I'm going to deal with this one first. But whatever this 5 months figure is, that's going to have to be taken out of patents so that I can then decide how much to write off. So, and that means that I'll be able to put numbers in for my investment. So if I just quickly look here, 3% investments, 360 grand, and it came in on the 1st of the 4th. So I'm just going to put that up here first. So financial fixed assets investments, 360. So the investment income, the annual figure is going to be 360 multiplied by 3%, and I got it on the 1st of 4th, so I'll be multiplied by 9/12. So 8,100 is the yearly figure. So how much would it have been for 5 months? So 360 times 3% times 5/12. So that's 4/5. So the figure that we have for current assets is those two taken away. Okay? Still haven't come to talk about patents just yet, but I had to deal with this before I could deal with patents. So my current asset, I'm going to have investment income due and whatever number I had over here. So that's that. Now, and I'm going to put my annual investment income. I'll put that up here. And that's the 8-1. Okay, so back to this thing here. So the patents figure I have here is 43,500. Investment income, asset, liability, expense, or income? Debit or credit? Okay, here's the question. I'm getting blanks. Could you draw the bookkeeping key now? Could you? I'm not asking you to, just saying could you. If you can't, well then that's something you need to kind of work on. When you walk into the exam, before you see the exam paper, and usually, just for your knowledge, most people do question 1 first. But Jack might feel nervous about it, so you might decide to do it later. But you have to have a strategy when you walk into the exam, which one you want to do first. So whatever you do, you need to write down the bookkeeping key first before you even look at the exam paper, okay? So investment income is an income, that should be a credit, okay? So if I'm taking it out of patents, and by the way, patents, asset, liability, expense, or income, is it a debit or credit? It's an intangible asset, so therefore, debit or credit? Debit. So, if investment income is a credit, and I have it mixed in, if I have a credit mixed in with patents, when I take that credit out, I have to debit patents, which makes patents go up. Yep. So patents at the moment is 43,500, so I'll be adding to that the 4,500. So patents now is 48 grand. I'm going to write it off over 5 years. So therefore, I'm just going to get 1/5 of that.
Apologies for interrupting class. Can Shane McLaughlin please come to reception? Shane McLaughlin, thank you.
Okay. So that's my new figure for patents. And the patent write-off, I'm going to put in, now just quickly put this up here. So we have intangible fixed assets, so I'm just going to put in patents. And I'll put that number. Now, writing off a patent, there's 2 places we can put it. We can put it in cost of sales as a cost, or we can put it as an expense. Now, generally it's put in as a cost simply because a patent is something associated with getting the goods. I've invested money in building up this way of making goods that's kind of unique, and when I have to get rid of it, I'll put it in as a cost. You could put it in as administration expense, you could put it in either, okay? But for now, I'm going to put it up here as cost. So I'm just going to squeeze these down. So patent write-off. Pardon? You put that up, okay? So have a look at what I've done, because I put the solution up. Okay, well then what I'll do is I'll be able to write notes, or you can just look and see how I did it and see, can you work it out? Okay, so if you want to move on to the other one, production budgets, was it? Cash budgets, okay. Have a look at that. Okay, so we're on to note 6. So I've dealt with all of those there. Okay, maybe if I do the same thing as I did before. So I'm putting in the patent write-off, and I'm putting the new patents figure into my answer. I'm putting the annual investment income figure in, and I'm putting the current asset. So there's the numbers I'm putting into my answer. Note 6, suspense. Okay, suspense, there's two parts to it. Always in the exam they'll give you two parts. So first one, incorrect figure for debenture interest. So the correct figure is put into the bank account. Okay, so a bit like investment income, and the investment income and debenture interest, this suspense, they're very common. They come up in question 1 all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out my annual debenture interest. And so the annual debenture interest, then I'm going to take away the amount paid, and what's left is debenture interest due. And that's going to be a current liability. So the annual debenture interest. I'm looking for my debentures. So this is going to go over here. Financed by debentures. So it says debentures are 300,000. And that includes 60 grand on the 1st of the 4th. So my debenture interest is going to be 240,000, because that's the debenture I had from the beginning and I still have. Multiplied by 7%. And I had that for a full year. Okay. And then the new loan I took out was 60 grand. Jamie, this will obviously be recorded so you can see it. Okay. Times 0.07 times. This next one I got on the 1st of the 4th, so I had it for 9/12 of this year. So that's the debenture interest I should have paid. The amount I actually paid, debenture interest for the first 3 months. Now, this number in the question of 6.4 is wrong, okay? And that's why you've got a suspense, because they put the wrong number into the trial balance, okay? So the amount paid should have been, now during the first 3 months, I only had the 240 grand loan. So it'll be 240 grand times 0.07 times 3/12. So 4.2 is the amount I paid. It says here I paid 6.4. That's wrong. Okay, and the current liability is going to be that number taken away that. So 15,750 is my current liability. Okay, and now I deal with my suspense. So debenture interest, debit or credit? Asset, liability, expense or income, that should tell you if it's a debit or credit. It's an expense. It's a bill I pay, okay, which is a debit. Now, there was 2 little debits in it, okay? So I need to put another debit in debenture interest. So that means I'll credit the suspense. So, and the amount involved is 6.4, take away 4.2, so it's 2,200. So suspense. Now, where is the suspense? Suspense is mixed in with salaries and general expenses. So that's where it's mixed in. Salaries and general expenses is starting as 243,100. Okay? Is that right? So I'm debiting it to increase it. So if my salaries and general expenses has a credit, are they going to be higher or lower? Okay, so salaries and general expenses, what type of account? Asset, liability, expense or income? Expense. So how do you, if you credit an expense, are you making it bigger or smaller? Smaller. Okay, so I'll be taking it away. So I'll be going minus 2,200. So that means that number minus, so that's my salaries and general expenses now. Okay? Next. So that's the first part of my suspense done. And that one is a fairly standard suspense question. Okay? Actually, I'm just going to change the writing size on all of these because it's just annoying me. 1 second. Sorry, it's just to make sure that I can see it kind of clearly. Okay. Now, back to, so that I've done the first suspense, now I have to do the second one. Discount received 460, entered only in the creditor's account. So where else should discount received have been put into? Discount received, okay? So I'm just having a quick read here. It has a discount net account. So what they've done is they've mixed discount allowed and discount received together, okay? And if the answer is in the debit column, it means the discount allowed, the expense is bigger. If it was the credit column, discount received is bigger. So in this case, discount net is in the credit column. So we had more discount received than discount allowed. So I'm just going to write these down. So discount net will have to be entered and the other will have to be suspense, which we know is in salaries and general expenses. Now, so just quickly checking, what did it say? Where are we now? No, okay. Discount received 460, entered only in the creditor's account. So the discount net figure, which was 15.5, I think. Yeah, 15.5. So we have 15,500, and then we have salaries and general expenses is 2,4,900. We've already dealt with. Discount net. If I have more discount, so I'm going to add it to discount net. So I'm going to go plus 460. So you got 15,960 is the new figure for discount net. That was would that have been a debit or a credit entry? Discount received. Credit. So therefore the suspense must be the opposite, which is debit. Okay? So debit with this means I have to add salaries and general expenses. So there's the new salaries and general expenses figure. So this goes into the accounts. This goes into the accounts. Debenture interest, we fixed debenture interest. I think we're just going to put in the annual debenture interest figure here. And we're putting in
interruption.
This
is the last and final call for any sixth years who would
Okay.
like some help with their CAO application. The registration closes today at 5 o'clock. If there's any sixth year who wants help with their application, please come to the MAL now with their teacher permission. Thank you.
so salaries and general expenses. Yep. Yeah, work away. Anybody else wants to go? Feel free. I'm recording this. So we've got discount. Wrong place. So our discount is that. Next one we were dealing with is debenture interest. So debenture interest paid was 4,200. The annual figure is the 19,950. So the difference then is going to be my current liability, which I'll put in over there and have that there. I've got my discount, my salary and general expenses is done, and debenture interest, and that's it. Okay? Aidan, are you happy enough with that? Just stop me now if I'm just going too fast. Now that one, along with the investment income and patents, those happen pretty much every year in these. Okay, so that's one that's definitely likely to come up. Now, do you want to work on that, or do you want me to keep on going? Actually, I think we're running out of time now, class-wise. Do you want to